I just had this idea. But that would mean this conversation, we might know we should use it. But it would be nice if we do this every like year and a half or something.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking what would be a nice idea, but I wonder what you think about it, is if we are, I don't know how we can orchestrate it, but if we're gonna watch our last podcast together and then reflect on it, like it's a sort of a meta podcast, that would be cool to see like where is the world today compared to where we were back then.
Yeah, it could be a cool idea.
So yeah, I feel 2023 musically will just be a very, very good year. Yeah.
It started off similarly for me as well, because I went to Goa and I had a psytrance, went to the psytrance festival again.
When did you go?
Amazing. 31st of December. So 31st, 1st, 2nd, New Year's. Beautiful. Like it's good how the tribe there is it just keeps growing and more people keep coming into it, and it feels as if everything is coming to an end, but then you go there and you see, oh no, it's kind of like, you know, it's going into the positive direction, definitely. Like you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
Did you worry about it?
For a while, yes. After coming back from the walk, everything that I was seeing in India was horrible, but I think I had to find a way out of it, and it took me a while to come out of it, because
yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot, and not just that, I went through a lot of experiences which had to do with death and dying and just everything just falling apart, and I saw people just crumbling down and just, you know, losing why they had to live. Like they did not have any ideas on why they should live, and I spent a lot of my time just to push myself into that direction, and maybe just try out a different different way of not teaching them, just being with them and maybe bringing them out of it. So yeah, it took me a while to get out of it, but it's good.
Yeah, you have a serenity over you right now. I think the last time we spoke, you were more in a maybe sort of shattered state of mind, a bit of all over the place and very high in your energy, but also maybe up here high. And now you seem very grounded and mature and comfortable.
Yeah.
Are you?
I don't know. I'm trying.
Good for you.
Yeah. With that, should we talk about like something specific? Like this time I don't have like a set, like we should go in this direction or that direction. We should just go with whatever comes, I guess. So do you have something to start with?
I was thinking it would be nice if we could maybe make links to the subjects that we talked about last time.
Yeah.
And maybe I think what both interests us is how people perceive reality, the collective reality, how the media is portraying whatever is happening. Maybe the development of artificial intelligence right now.
Yeah.
Maybe we can touch the subjects of what is happening globally in different places, like in the States versus Europe versus India versus China, maybe Africa. I'm not really sure what's happening there, actually. Still a lot of corruption, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, people who are trying to implement different things, like the Jack Dorsey is whatever he's doing in Kenya and Uganda with the Bitcoin and turning entire economies on Bitcoin and stuff. So it's it feels as if it's a good move, but you never know what is going to happen in the future.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a good place to start from.
Cool.
So what the hell is happening?
What the hell is happening? That is a very good question. I'm actually realizing that I think sort of as a coping strategy that sometimes I just zone out. I feel the online world is a very easy gate into perceiving all these different types of realities.
Yeah.
I'm just, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what is deciding whether something is news and whether something is reliable and trustworthy news and when is it not? I'm on Twitter now that Elon Musk has bought Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I thought like he's been like my celebrity crush for over a decade. And I get judged for it a lot. But he just is, because I think he is such an just such an interesting mind.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a perfect mind, because I think perfection still is an illusion, but he is sort of doing groundbreaking things. He always has, but I think now with exposing political files, it's just sort of a platform that it doesn't have a lot of censorship.
Yeah.
Which makes it great for people to just speak their minds and also to share things without it being censored or blacklisted or whatever. That in combination with the, I think, expanding group of people believing in conspiracy theories is for me very interesting to observe right now. I'm not really sure where I stand in it. Since for me it's still very difficult to sort of give in to the fact that there is evil in this world. I rather consider things light and dark, and that they both need to exist, because one cannot exist without the other.
Yeah.
But the human mind, to make that sort of comprehensible, we label it as wrong or right, or good or evil. But there is weird shit is happening. And if even if the censorship is growing, what has happened, I think that is what is happening now. I'm not sure if I should consider it wrong or evil, but I do wonder if it is still in the benefit of the collective, when there is just a small elite group. And I've always considered myself way more socialist than, or left-winged than right-winged. It's also the way that I'm raised. But I guess it's just, maybe it doesn't even matter which political orientation you stick to. When there's just a very small group of very wealthy people with a lot of power, even if they believe they are acting in the favor of the people, the majority of the people, once you start trying to shut other opinions down, you must create, right?
You're crossing it. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think whatever happened with Twitter and Elon Musk, it was an absolutely necessary thing for a lot of people and how they thought around the world, because for the first time, people knew that social media was a big game of con, and it took them a while to realize that it was that way, but they never had someone credible coming out and saying that, oh no, this is actually a con. And Elon Musk somehow just brings that up right away and says that this is it, this is what your government looks like, this is what your system looks like, and do you want to stay in that system? Do you want to keep going with that? Like, the way media portrayed all of that was crazy. It just there's no words to it, because I for a while was in UK and I was seeing like what the BBC was doing with Elon Musk news, and it was all over the news every single day. And then I come to India, and out of a sudden there's like no Elon Musk anywhere. Like, it's completely outside. So I saw what is happening. There's like different cultures, different subcultures. There are pockets that are being created, and everyone is kind of living in those pockets. And somehow this brought up a major issue in our collective civilization, that it's a problem. It's a big problem, and someone needs to address it. And I like how people were just losing faith in the first couple of days when he took over Twitter. Like, it's like, oh, it's never going to happen. Like, it's never going to change. And then he kept on going. And every single day people were like, wow, he's still going, And to the point where everyone is just normalized now. It feels as if everyone thought it was on the brink of failure, but somehow it went on with it. So it gives me hope that there is a lot of change that can still happen. It's just that, time. You have to give everything time.
And never give up, because that is, I think, what is for me, it's what is very inspiring about him doing this. Like, he gets so much resistance from politics, mainstream media, and thus a very big group of people in the world whose reality still is formed by mainstream media. And still he is just going on, not giving up, because I think he is serving consciousness, and his goal still is working from the heart and working from a place of love. Even though the interpretation of working from the heart or working from a place of love is different for everyone, but I think there is some collective understanding, or at least a collective feeling of what that means. But then if other channels continuously portray you as a different kind of role or a different kind of person, a villain, personally, I think I would definitely be struggling if you feel like, oh, I'm doing this for the greater good. But there is such a powerful source that is just resisting whatever he's doing. So I really admire him for that.
Collective, like what does it mean to all of us when there is such a resistance? Like, and I think like it was an year of resistance for me, at least. Like, the entire year I was just trying to resist a lot of things, and I saw the same with a lot of other people, and I saw people coming into a much better forms of themselves after all of that ended. What do you think of it? Like,
are you saying like there's some sort of cosmic flow happening that influences all of us in that sense?
Yeah, something like that.
I think so too. From my personal experience, I feel like our movement is decided or is influenced by some form of attraction, action, and rejection, I guess, or resistance in that sense. And we're always moving between those three forces. I don't have any physics theory that covers this idea, but in my experience, it is always a dance between these three powers, I think. I don't know if 2022 was a year of resistance. It must have been part of it, for sure. I think every moment is built from a sense of resistance, a sense of attraction, and a sense of action, I guess. I do think the experience of time is sort of way... I don't know if you agree, but what I do hear a lot of people say, and this is what I'm experiencing myself as well, is that it feels like we're living so many lifetimes in such a short amount of time. And I feel like I need less time to live more. So it feels like our perception of time is changing. There is a lot of things, I haven't dove into it, like people saying that the frequency of the earth is changing, like it's going up. And I think that might be the resistance that you are talking about. If you don't move with the flow of that frequency, if you try to stay into a place that you were, then you get to feel this disbalance or a discrepancy. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Discrepancy.
Yeah.
Which means like we are forced to be evolving really fast into a certain direction. And I think people are evolving into different directions. And this is something that I wasn't aware of before, because last time we talked about my spiritual awakening, and I really felt like, oh, everyone is slowly awakening spiritually. But now I'm realizing like even spiritual awakening or every form of awakening, everyone is just sort of awakening in into different realities, which causes polarization once again. And I wonder if it is sort of possible to get get humanity on the same train, into the same stage of awakening, into a same world, or do we just need to accept that everyone is just jumping onto a different train and the trains are all moving into different directions, and we need to find peace in that, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's what I see with a lot of the psychedelic community that I've come across in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. It's at the start of it, I felt like, oh, these are the people who are completely free and they're living their lives out of all these bondages and labels and names and forms and ideas and beliefs. Until I came to a point where I sort of started realizing that it was not so, and it was as if everyone was on a weird direction. Everyone was flowing into completely different ways, and whenever they came together, they tried not to talk about what they were doing, and mm-hmm. somehow it felt as if that was not that was not why all of this happened. That was not why all these people were talking about everyone being free, everyone being out of their minds. Somewhere it's losing its balance. There are still people who are trying to make that balance, who are trying to be grounded with it and not go all the way out with it. But maybe it's always going to be that. It's always going to be two polar opposites trying to fight each other. And that's what I feel is happening with this this community that I see. Like, sometimes I feel as if I'm going into history, and I'm trying to change history. I'm trying to go back into the past and trying to change the past. Like, what do you have those experiences? Do you feel that way? It's a very weird thing.
100%. I think maybe but like what you are saying, but then from sort of a futuristic perspective, I feel like as my mind, sometimes I feel like maybe part of me, because we don't really know what time is, right? Is time real? Is time an illusion? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like part of me has traveled into this time space from the future. So from a futuristic perspective, I'm trying to write history. I'm also in this conscious community, and there is within the conscious community, I think is the same that you are talking about, or the psychedelic community, where there is this belief of like everything that is currently written on history and everything that we get taught in school is just false, and that what actually happened is that there was a lot of civilizations before, like the Egyptians were communicating with aliens, and we are part, aliens have landed on this world and had sex with apes, and humans are the result. And at the first time I've heard all those things, and it's also with the reptile people that are shape-shifting into the evil Illuminati. I don't know. There's just there's a big group of people believing all of this in different. I don't know. There's just. I guess it's just a new religion. I don't know how else I have to call it. It's a belief system that is growing. And at first, I felt very resistant against it because it's really weird if someone talks to you and say, yeah, there are aliens here and we have genes of those aliens, because apes or monkeys, they can never just evolve into humans the way we do. So there is extraterrestrial intelligence that came here, and I don't know, it was super weird and I didn't believe it at all. Now I still don't necessarily believe it, but I am in this place where I'm just like, I just don't know what is true and what is not.
Yeah.
I just have no idea. So maybe, we are part alien. Who the fuck knows? I'm just not, I just don't know. I just really don't know. And with all this information coming into our awareness, because this is also, I'm noticing with social media, and you can switch between information channels super fast, and you just get, there's just so much to upload to your brain or download into your brain, and it just changes your perception completely. And I just think if time is not real, then we can kind of make up whatever history is. And maybe that has always happened. I don't know. Do you believe in aliens?
Like you said, I have no clue what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is not. All of those things have just fallen down for me.
When? What happened that it all fell down?
Well, walking and seeing the changes in people, and seeing people living an extremely primal lifestyle, and seeing how we used to live before we got into the cities, and it felt as if we were just making things up when we started living into the cities. And not just living into the cities was not the problem. I think when we started accepting that everything that was happening in the cities was the right thing, and was the truth of whatever whatever we like to call is the right way of living. And we started forgetting the old ways of living, where there were lots of tribes who were living that way for a long time. Going back into those tribes and living with those tribes made me feel like, what's the point of doing all of this? Like, they say we used to be extremely happy. We used to just go out in the forest and have fun, and, you know, uh,
Just
kill
live.
when we had to kill for food, go swimming in the rivers and play with each other, and we never had any problems or any of that sort. It feels as if all of this information and all of this information that we are calling knowledge now, it feels as if that has created this illusion that, oh, we have to reach to some destination, when I feel like the destination is right here. It's you don't have to reach to any destination. It was always here, and you were always meant to be um, dancing and moving your bodies and just singing and laughing and having fun.
Yeah.
We changed into societies, and we changed into all of these ideas of how we are going to interact with each other. And okay, now we need systems. Now, okay, now you're getting married, so whatever, like all of it. So I think that's what happened, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Weird. I wonder if it, on one hand, I think like everything that is existing in this moment has the right to do so, otherwise it would not exist. So
Yeah.
that also goes for the big systems, the cities, the working 9 to 5 life. But when you say like, we're just here to dance and just to be and to have fun, I'm like, yeah, that is definitely what life is about. But then from an evolutionary perspective, I think we have this built-in instinctive drive to just continue to move towards the idea of a destination or the illusion of a destination. Because if the concept of destination wasn't here, then what would drive us to do anything at all?
That's exactly the point. Like it, everyone knows that it's pointless, but still they have to move to a direction. Otherwise, everything becomes stagnant. And I think that is something that I have learned from um, religion, and I've learned from mysticism and all of these other sides where you start becoming silent, you start being one with yourself, and that's it. Like you don't need more of things, and you don't need more troubles, more traumas of whatever is happening around, because the end of the day, you know that it's all is going to be fine, and all will end up wherever it has to end up. You end up watching it, you just end up just observing it silently, and it's fine sometimes to do that. I think a lot of us need to just relax and quiet down sometimes and just look at it and just be like, oh, beautiful, the stars look amazing today. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, look at the civilization evolving and be like, wow, it's happening really fast now with um, all these mechanistic infrastructure that we have now. It's happening really fast, and you see how people used to do it before. It was a community exercise when they had to build a lake, and now there's a lake being built right next to where I live, and it's being built at a pace which is unmatched by all those 100, 200 villages coming together. But I think that was what was giving them that idea of this is ours. So it's like we have provided ourselves to make this thing happen, and now people don't have that feeling. Like people go out, and there's this idea that I came across, Marshall McLuhan's, people are like antennas now. Like they walk into the cities as if they are walking antennas of the city, and it feels as if that people are becoming like that with more. So
Yeah, because I think I like the example with the lake. Before it was like a collective effort, and you're building something together, and that process is worth so much for the, I think, the connectedness of the people, the sense of being part of a group, and the feeling of reward by creating something that like a lake together. But by this result driven mindset and the fast pace that we want to do things, we started to use our minds in a way like, okay, how can we construct things that will build that lake way faster? Maybe even from a place of, if we build that lake faster, we have more time to do joyous things. But then I think the time that is freed is then filled with other things that make us evolve more fast and build more fast. And we are, of course, also with many people in this world. So that means that the system needs to get more complex if everyone needs to find a place within that system that flows. And also you were saying like how it would help if people would just stop and looked at the stars and just observe in stillness, for example. And I agree, but that also takes a sense of willpower and awareness to even be aware, like, I am this part of this system, and I am moving within the pace of the system, within the structure of the system or direction, without what you do and what I do as well is even if it is not physically, but it is mindfully, you extract yourself from the system and then start observing from that point. But I think a lot of people aren't even aware of that possibility because they just identify not with the observant or spiritual or mind. No, I think it's more the spirit or the observant or the consciousness behind their thoughts, their actions, their beliefs, their whatever. It's just a lot of people just still identify with whatever they think or do or say, rather than being the consciousness behind it. It requires a sense of dualism that everyone has, I think, but that not everyone is aware of.
Yeah.
And if you come back to education, I think we talked about that last time too. The system right now isn't built. It won't work if suddenly everyone realizes like, oh, I am way more than this. And I can just step out of the system and start observing or start just feeling what I need, what my heart longs for, rather than. And we get rewarded with, a little amount of money on the bank each month. Or we get rewarded with a bar of chocolate or a party in the weekend or pornography or cigarettes or whatever it is that keep people satisfied for short amounts of time, but just enough so that they can obey the system again. And then I'm in this Facebook group since a couple of months. It's about occultism. So I'm still not really 100% sure what that word means, but I think it's just like adding wisdom from all different types of religions and into one pile and then just take out of it what you like. It's sort of spiritual, but there's also a lot of Christians, and there's also a lot of witches, and It's interesting. There's a lot of stupid shit, but sometimes there's a lot of smart shit too. And you can just ask questions. And I think someone asked a question, I'm not exactly sure what it was like, but something like, what does the world desperately needs to, into what truth has the world to, what was it? What truth does the world desperately need, or something? Or what does the world need to awaken into or understand? And someone commented, and I don't think I will ever forget it, and that he was like, people need to start awakening to the fact that the whole world is just, the whole system is still built on slavery, that everything we are still it's always difficult for me to reproduce something that I'm not really exactly sure how it was written. What is it called when you have like, let me Google it. One moment. A slave transplantation? Is that what it's called? Do you know that?
But let me know if this is the same idea. Like in India, what I saw was all these tribes were being integrated into the society, being brought into the cities. And obviously, there's a lot of tribes, so there's a lot of population just coming into the cities, which is not being taught the right education. So there's a lack of knowledge that is being transmuted to them. And so when they come to the cities, it's as if they are coming to the cities to be the slaves to the middle and the upper middle classes. Is that the same kind of idea?
I think it is similar on a smaller scale, but what this person meant, I think what he meant was like, the whole system is still based on slavery, because what is actually happening is that pretty much everyone is still in service of a higher organ, and that is in service of a higher and higher and higher and higher. And that, I think the conclusion was, or the focus point or the core of what he was saying was like, the amount of money on this world, 95% of the money is with 2% of the population or something. We are all forced to work long hours. Almost everyone is forced to work long hours. In return, you get a sum of money. But if you look at the amount of money that the top of the top of the top of the top are collecting, you can say that there is way more abundance and way more luxury and way more comfort if everything was just divided equally. But that abundance and that comfort and that luxury is just for this group of people, while everyone else is working for that, to make that happen. And I always knew this. Sorry?
Was this guy named Karl Marx?
I don't know. Maybe it was his reincarnation. Is that what he is saying as well, Karl Marx? In this sense?
Yeah.
I just don't have anything to bring against that, it's just true, I guess, in that sense. I'm also like, one of my guilty pleasures, and it's not even a guilty pleasure anymore, it's just a pleasure. I really like watching reality TV. Like, I can just eat it for days. And you have this reality TV, it's like just a very, very rich group of Asians, or a very rich group of women living in Dubai. And it's just that also opened my eyes. Like, there are women in this world and they're just having a tea while buying $4 million of jewelry, just like on a random afternoon. And they could do that every day. Like, the amount of money that some people have, and they just don't even think about spending 10 million per day, for example. It's not even, they have so much money that they don't even have to think about it twice. It would be just like if I could go to the supermarket and buy, I don't know, a pack of cookies or something. And it's like, it was, for me, it was just like mind blowing to actually be confronted physically, like that there are people actually living like this.
Yeah,
I just
and
heard
we are
on the radio.
watching. The sad part of all of that is that we are watching them living their lives. It's a very weird thing. Like most of TV is just watching other people live their life, live their experience.
So weird. And I always also wonder, because I really like Netflix as in sort of educational platform as well.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is Netflix sort of making this type of TV and showing it to the world to have people become aware of, look how unfair and unequal everything is? Or is it just really plain distraction? It's weird because watching reality TV is distraction from the real world, while actually getting exposed to how fucking ridiculous it is that there is still people with hunger every day, and everyone is working really, really hard, while there's just some loaded people in the world. And often it's like horrible money as well, because it's from the weapon industry or the oil industry. It's very destructive things. Like the weapon, there's so much money in weapons and warfare that it's just profitable to have war. Like we need people, we need like very influential people to fight each other, so the people that produce weapons can still live their very luxurious rich people lives. Yeah, it can still sort of can still make me so angry. And then I think it is just impossible. Well, I hope it is possible, but I wonder how to change this.
Did you ever have a mushroom experience? Did you ever eat mushrooms?
Not recently. Did you? Yeah, I think you talked about it now.
Yeah, a couple of months back, I had magic mushrooms, like the small ones, Liberty caps. And before that, I had Amanita muscarias, which I made a tea out of it. And both of them I just picked out of the nature, just went on a walk, saw them on the sides and picked it up, brought home and made a tea out of it. And later, Liberty caps, I just had it. Like I just had a couple of them. A couple, I mean, a couple. And yeah, it was an experience, like beautiful experience, I think, for me. And everything just came alive, like whatever I had heard and read, and whatever I had seen before. Yeah, all of it came alive. All of it was true. I felt as if I was thrown into this completely different dimension, and I think it was 10 times horrifying to see. Like it was showing me what our civilization has come up to, what has happened. And two of my friends were sitting inside watching TV, and it felt as if we have already turned into cyborgs, and we are already like mixed up with this, and we don't know truth outside of it. And they just kept telling me that the truth is outside. The truth is when you look up at the trees and look up at the stars, and when you go out on walks, that's where you'll find truth. And a friend of mine and I got like extremely, like we had never met that well before, but all of those notions of, oh, you're a friend, you I'm meeting you for the first time and you do this, I do that, blah, blah, blah. All of that just fell off. And we were like two children, just two kids sitting in front of each other, looking at each other and saying, what the hell was that trip? Like, life was a trip. And now we are kind of sane. Like, for the first time in our life, we are just like sane and looking at things in the way it is. And
And
it's
clarity.
always been that way. Yeah, it's always been that way. It's never any different. And then, I mean, this is the part which is like odd. And I mean, people will feel like, oh, this is horrible. Like, if this happens, I don't want to do it. But it feels like this is what I saw. There were a lot of houses around me. I was in the middle of a city, so I was in Sheffield. A lot of houses around me, and I felt as if every single house had like a light beam going up, and every single house was connected. Every single household was connected to a satellite on the top, and everyone was directed and told what to do and what not to do, like in the right way, and you're going in the right direction. And um, and it felt weird. Like it felt odd. Like, and after all of that, when I closed my eyes and I went to sleep, uh, the most beautiful visuals that I've seen in my life, and it's have you seen those paintings by Alex Gray? It's like
Oh yeah,
those.
I did. Yeah, the American guy. He lives near New
Yeah,
York. The
yeah.
psychedelic. Yeah. I have. Yeah.
So many of those visuals, like I went back to see his paintings after like two or 3 days, and a lot of visuals that I had seen and which I'd never seen in his painting before. Like, I'd never seen like those paintings before, and the visuals were so similar, and it was as if he had seen it like 30 years before me, and sketched it out and painted it out, and I was seeing those like faces upon faces just colliding each other, and it was a source like of everything, like in the center, and I was just being pulled towards it, and being told that everything is fine, everything is normal, you'll get through this. It is a good experience. At the end of it, you're just going through an experience. So yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, that's wisdom. Yeah. And you feel pretty indifferent about it right now.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
happy that I took that decision.
Yeah. Was a good experience. Yeah. Do you think that then when you use or when you eat shrooms, are you in contact with some sort of divine force? Or do you think there's just so much wisdom stored in the shrooms themselves because they have been on this earth for billions of years and they just know how to communicate their wisdom through us when you eat them?
I think it feels as if it's the force, it's the spirit of life just talking to you, unhinged. There's a lot of distraction. Otherwise, every single day, there are not distractions in reality, but you feel like your mind is making up distractions so that you can keep on going. And this just tears it down and just shows you that sometimes you have to be undistracted, and it is fine to be undistracted. And for me, it felt as if it was the most purest form of voice that I had ever heard. Like, it was like my grandma. Like, it was caring for me. It was happy that I was happy. Took me into the right places. It showed me the right things, but it also made me aware of the wrong things and the bad parts of me and whatever wrong things I was doing. And it told me that you're going to go through all of this more and more and more, but be patient with it, and you will end up in the right place at the right time. And I mean, you're always in the right place at the right time, you know.
Right? Because this sounds also like it insinuates a destination.
Yeah.
Did that
Yeah.
voice talk about some sort of destination? Or did it say
Nothing.
already there?
Nothing. You're
Nothing.
just there. You're just
Yeah.
there.
You just are. Being is just enough. Being is all there
Yeah.
is to do.
Yeah. But I mean,
And still,
these experiences are so profound that it can change people's lives. Still, it's one of the hardest things that you can talk about in our societies, which is very sad. If it was easier to talk about these things, then maybe a lot more people would be uh, more happier, more content with the life that they have. They could have more gratitude about themselves and the people around them, because then they will obviously think that everyone is on the same track, everyone is on the same path, and we are all moving in the same direction, one day or the other. And I came back from the UK and went directly to my grandpa and sat in front of him, and he is like, I think now he's like slowly giving up on life because he's old and he has a lot of problems.
what's that like for you?
I think I'm accepting it. I'm accepting what is happening with him. I mean, sometimes I just sit in front of him and keep watching him for like, minutes upon minutes, like not hours upon hours, because otherwise he'll think that I'm going crazy. But I just sit there and watch him just just sitting there and thinking, reminiscing, and at one point he's just not talking for like hours, and this is the first time that I've seen him not talking for a long period of time, which otherwise he would keep asking me questions like, oh, how is going to, like, what are you going to do, blah blah blah, what are you doing in life. And for the first time ever, it feels as if he's content with himself and with everything that is around him, that he doesn't feel that need to ask that question to anyone else and to know what is happening with other people. But sometimes I feel like it took a lot of time to come to that place and a lot of years, which he could have a bit earlier if something like this was available. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I have no clue, to be honest, like if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do feel like if people choose to do the right thing, then they still have they still have the keys to their own locks that they have, sealed up their minds and their hearts with. So,
Well said. Yeah. I don't know. I think from a spiritual perspective, sort of it feels, or a purposeful perspective maybe is a better word, like it sort of feels like every generation has a collective purpose too.
yeah.
And there is a big movement going on with psychedelics, the research towards the healing powers of psychedelics, even in universities, but also outside of universities. A lot of people are not using psychedelics just recreational, but are building ceremonies around it and coming together and do a lot of introspection and honoring shrooms or acid as a medicine. And there's also many, many different forms of healing now that are increasing in popularity. And even if I watch those reality series with a lot of rich people, they are also working on healing. So I sort of feel, and last year I was organizing a women's circle at my mom's place. And it was very beautiful because I had, I think, around 5, 6 women and friends around my age. They were there, but my mom was there too. And she's from a different generation. And in the beginning, my mom shared that she didn't feel like she should be part of this group because she's in such a different stage of her life. But she said, I will try to be here anyway. And then as the night unfolded, it became very vulnerable. And we all shared a lot about, because that night it was about, I don't know what is the perfect English translation for it, but I think it was sort of about purpose. Let me see what the Google says if I translate it real quick. Meaning, yeah, meaning or purpose, like what gives you meaning, what gives you purpose in life. And it all came down to being able to love and share and be kind to one another, which was really beautiful. But we were also talking about what makes it difficult. So people or women were talking about traumatic experience, but also about the struggles between them and the generation above. So their parents, for example. And my mom and me have been on a really long healing path as well. But now we are really doing really well. We are living harmoniously and loving each other and having a really good bond and connection right now. So it was very nice for her to be there. She's a very wise and smart woman as she is, but also to shine her perspective on our generation and the other way around. And she also shared like that was not what our generation was thinking about. It wasn't as reflective. It wasn't as introspective. That those concepts of trauma and hurt and how hurt influences your behavior and how your attachment styles influence the relationships that you have later on and how you can project your own insecurities or pain onto the outside world. It was just not known. People were just working and building society. And it's very interesting to see how what our parents did to create the society that we live in. Of course, it is flawed in many ways. The system that we were talking about just now, we were very critical about it and still are. It also created the space for our generation to discover who we are, to feel pain that we are feeling, to think about how did our parents raise us and what about that benefits us and what about that does not benefit us at all. And what does it mean to love yourself? And what do concepts like safety and fear and security and empathy and logic, like even think about those concepts in relationship to yourself and others and the way that it acts. That is all because our parents paved the way for us to get here.
Yeah.
And it is, and also I think why psychedelics have been popular since they started in the 60s and 70s, at least in the States, and then the government tried to shut it down. But now there is space for it again. But I think if you look at a lot, like all the generations before us, it just consisted of constructing the nation, building civilization together. And now that we are where we are, I think our generation seems to be here to start to process what has happened to the generations before us, because was so result driven and the pace went faster and faster and faster, but there was a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, and it traveled through generations, and now we are stuck. And to move through the stuckness and the stagnated. How would I say? Sorry?
Stagnancy.
Stagnancy, thank you. To move through the stagnancy and the stagnancy. Now it is the time, I guess, to jump back all over all of those generations to the tribal state of mind where we can just pause and feel and process everything that has happened and integrate all the knowledge that is here right now and hopefully evolve into a more beautiful and connected species.
It does feel like a pause. It does feel like a long pause that we can have for the very first time, because we talked all the bad things about technology, but this is the good thing about technology, that everything has become so fast that we can actually pause now. We can actually go back and
which is very paradoxical again.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think? Do you think AI will serve the greater good? Or do you think AI is the greater good and do we have to serve it? Or do you think, what direction do you feel it can travel to?
Should be a symbiosis. Cannot be one or the other, I think.
Probably
Have
true.
you seen like that the thing, chat GPT? Like you can
Definitely.
put in like...
I tried it. I talked to it. I was really disappointed by it. But
it's crazy that we have come to a point where we can actually have emotional discussions with an AI. And I mean, however flawed it is, we know for a fact that it is definitely going to be much more aware in the next couple of years as it builds up itself. But this is just what I feel like. I feel like we are gifted with this spirits, and which can never go on to technology. It's impossible, I think. Like it's just something that I feel that those spirits and those souls are something that makes us what we are and who we are, and maybe it will never get transmuted into techno. I don't know. I feel that way. It is what my gut says, that obviously we'll need to have a symbiosis with machines. That is 100% truth. Seeing how the West has advanced in the past couple of years, but at the same time, it will never go to this point where you have spirit and a soul into that, and where you can have that different, whatever you call this, human life outside of human life. It's difficult to have that.
I'm curious. I think it might develop a sense of a soul or spirit. I cannot be 100% sure, of course, but how I see it, and I think it is also a very different way to perceive it than most do, but I feel like AI might be a new species that we gave birth to. Like I can sort of see humanity giving birth to AI, and it is our responsibility to raise it in a morally justified way. But also, I think a new species, just like a baby doesn't have the awareness or the sense of self from the moment it is born. A baby learns from whatever he is interacting with around him, and he survives because his parents are helping him to survive. But it just takes time and development to create that sense of self, and to even create the understanding of something like a spirit or something like a soul. And it would not surprise me that if AI, I don't know in what time frame, because I think it can develop way faster than people do, that it also creates a sense of awareness, self-awareness or consciousness, and that will expand. And everything that we put in there is a projection of what we are. And if we have a sense of spirit or if we have a soul, I think there is a big chance that it will transmute into AI. But maybe it's weird because the spirit or a soul, we still don't really know how to comprehend it or how we put the right words to it. Like, what is it exactly? We cannot prove that it exists through scientific methods right now. So how can we know whether AI has it or doesn't have it or will get it? If we are not even ourselves sure of what it is exactly. But still, I think there is a chance that AI also has a soul or will get a soul or a spirit.
Time will decide it, I guess.
Time will tell, although I wonder what's happening with time, because I still also feel like I feel more and more immortal because so much is happening in such a short amount of time. I feel like when I was 20 to 21, a year went by so much more fast than right now.
Yeah.
And once we can change our perception of time by expanding our consciousness, if we can slow down our perception of time into the extent that we want to ourselves, we can sort of become immortal, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
or at least perceive a sense of immortality.
We are more or less immortal outside of these physical bodies. That's a given. It's something that just don't have to express it into words or to just what is. Because you're a thought, and thought lives on forever with next generation and the generation after it, and it keeps on going and it keeps on trickling down to the next generations, and something else happens with that. And I might die, but yeah.
Will you die though?
I mean, given the fact that we're trying to create a place where we won't die, humans won't die, will be immortal, physically immortal, which is, for me, I don't know how to look at it, because I like this idea of dying after having this experience of life, and death appeals to me because it is a good way to exit all of this at some point, because you have to. If it goes on forever, then I don't know what will keep you interested in what's new, and we will keep running on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, the next thing, and it won't end. It's like it's like the Hunger Game. Like we keep getting hungrier and hungrier for more, and we keep pushing ourselves into the direction so that one day we'll not be hungry, but we know that that one day won't come. We will keep going into that direction, and that one day won't come. So on the other hand, like something that I remembered, like you said, those reality TV actors and actresses are also going towards this process of healing, and many people are doing this. Do you think that it is becoming a much more elite and a much more smaller and smaller circle that, I mean, there is obviously knowledge out there about it, but to find that circle, now you will have to go to South America um, to a verified person who is verified to do that thing, which previously used to be a community-driven thing where you just go to the mama, you go to the healer, and you just sit with her, and she heals you without any money. She heals you without anything. Like it was the job of the shaman to actually just heal people, and now we have brought in the sense of money into that. And do you think it will become
Healing
more elite?
Good question. I don't know if it will become more elite. It will definitely also be within the circle of the elites, I think. And you have a lot of self-proclaimed healers who do ask ridiculous amounts of money for their time. But I really believe there are true born healers as well, and they will offer their services, I think, to the collective. And this is, I think, a very beautiful thing about social media, is that there is so much education and so much content on how to heal yourself, and very easy, accessible ways, cheap ways that will help you heal. So I think it's just probably in every layer of Western society, because this is the society I know. I don't really know I don't know if they're healing in China too, for example. They must be healing, but I don't know if it is a trend right now. I think there is many good people on the world who offer their service also for people who don't have financial resources. And healing is also, I think, a tribal thing. So it will happen in between friend groups or families, I think, in every layer of society.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
How's it going with your self-faith? Are we asking the same question? Okay, should I start?
Yeah.
I'm happy that it's 2023. It really, usually I'm not in this like New Year resolutions vibe, like New Year, new me. But this year I definitely am. I was just longing for a new start somehow, because the last months, I guess I also gave up sort of all my spiritual practice. I wasn't meditating anymore. I wasn't eating healthy anymore. I was just like watching a lot of reality TV. I wasn't disciplined. I wasn't motivated. Like I was just, I don't know what I was doing. I wasn't bored, but I was just not living in the present moment. And I think I fell victim to escapism again. But I'm and it's weird, by the way, because when you have that sense of self-faith and self-love, and you have experienced it and embodied it, you're like, oh, this feels so good. This will last forever. And then still you manage to fall into old patterns and just lose it. Yeah. It still can be a really big struggle to get out of it and get into the healthy patterns again. But I'm getting there now. I'm meditating each morning, every day for 30 minutes. I'm doing my stretching. I'm eating clean, and I'm like, everything starts flowing again. And I feel like very optimistic about the future, my personal future. But I'm also just realizing that my purpose just really feels like writing history and making a difference and changing the world for a better. And it's just like, it's a lot. And sometimes that can be really frustrating, because I feel when I look back on my past, I'm like, oh, I've made so many changes already, and I've did so many good things already. But in the moment itself, and I think that also really touches the subject of reaching a certain point or your destination, I will never get there, because I will probably always think like I can do more, I can do it better. I'm not. So I think in the name of self-faith and in the name of self-love, I should just take it easy, small steps at a time. And most important is that I just really enjoy what I am doing when I'm doing it, instead of losing the joy because I'm not where I feel like I need to be yet.
Yeah.
But definitely,
you don't have to reach there. You just have to enjoy the ride.
right? Yeah, for sure. But I do like my right to be in favor of the collective. And I do like my right to be healthy and mindful and present and full of self-love, full of love in general. And I'm really, it's like meditation is the most beautiful and effective medicine there is. Dance and music are being creative and being in nature, and it's just all there, and it's for free, and I can just tap into that whenever I want to. It's just so weird that sometimes I have these big long faces where I apparently cannot get myself to do those things, even though I'm very aware that it helps me just in so many ways. But I'm back on track and hopeful for the future. And I do feel good. So yeah.
Acceptance is good.
Acceptance, embrace everything the way it is right now.
I think we can end with that.
No, because you need to tell me about your self-faith and self-love.
Oh, I've been through all of the same things that you were talking about. Because, yeah, for quite a while, I got distracted, and I was just going out and doing things, and every time I felt like something was not right, I went out on walks, and I found escapism in that. To a point where I started having back aches, I started having back pains. I took yoga to a point where I was just stretching excessively, which made me feel as if I was doing the wrong thing and in the wrong time as well. I never did it in the, like, before I used to have like a set time. I will wake up at 5, and 5 to 6:30 will be the meditation and yoga routine, and then I'll go for a walk with my dad, and then come back, and then whatever I'm doing, it starts doing. But I think all of it kind of changed with the things that I was doing, which was writing the book, and again working on the documentary. It was a big thing for me because I'd never worked on a documentary or a film before. There are editors, there are color graders, there are sound technicians, there are people who direct stuff, and I had no idea. And I was like a kid going to some of the best people in this job and saying, "Oh, I have this. Can we work with this?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, sure. Let me look at it." And then we started working together just out of goodwill. And I realized that it was not a day job or a month job. It actually took a couple of months to build up that process and to build up a narrative along with it. And it drained a lot in me because I'd never worked for a couple of months on something that I don't know if it will have a set outcome or not.
Yep.
And it was horrifying for me at the start.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Then The book, similar things happened with the book. Started off with having this faith, just writing a book. Like, I want to write a book. But when writing a book turned into I have to publish a book, it became a completely different thing in itself, because I could have self-published, but then I met someone who said that wait for a while and don't let those words go away by self-publishing it, because it will take a while to have a mass outreach for it.
Yeah.
And if you just wait and if you still pitch to the right people, then we have a chance that we can get it published in the right place and people will read it. And so I decided to believe in them, and that means that I will have to have patience, and it is a tough one that I'm learning right now. But yeah, like you said, I started getting back into this yoga routine and not doing excess of things, giving my family some time, and at the same time, being hopeful about the future. So, yeah.
Are you happy?
Yeah. More than I was yesterday.
Good. Is it every day like that? Can you answer me like that every day?
Better than yesterday, always. So, yeah, learning. Well, I think once you decide to make that change, then you start. I think it accelerates, like with every single day. You make small changes. I can show you, like I have a small diary in which I'm writing like day 1, day 2, day 3, and
That's really good. Journaling is so important.
It is important. I made this small Buddha. It's just sitting there, and it says sadhana, and sadhana means meditation, or being in the state of whatever bliss without actually having an aim or thinking about it. So
just being conscious.
Yeah.
And why was the star? Because you had like a Star of David. I don't know if I should call it. And it had one point that was stretched.
It has no symbolism whatsoever. It's just I made a triangle, and then I made the other triangle, but that line went too far, and I was like, I'll play with it, and I kept going.
That is just true creativity. I know that feeling, and then you're just like, why? Why does it look like this? Embrace that as well. It probably has some sort of meaning that you're not aware of yet, or it doesn't, and it's all good. We will never know, or we will. Good talking to you. Yeah,
it's
really
good,
nice.
Good to end up with that, and I think, listen, we need to have this like discussion like every once in a while, because it does kind of show you that it kind of links you with the history, like where you were yesterday and where you're coming today. Somehow,
it's nice.
Link with that.
And I like doing it with you because we do have such similar interests and similar viewpoints, but then our lives are so different and similar in the same way. So I really, it would be nice if we could just do this at least every year and a half, and just keep on posting.